Yo, what's going on, dudes? HK Tiny here with a brand new video for you guys, and in today's video, I have a banger plan for you guys because I had somebody submit to me a really cool map design. So the map that I'm going to be working with today is going to be a Jungle J made by Epic Noob 22. Now, the map itself is actually pretty good looking. I just feel like it's lacking a little bit of detail. Now, the main thing that drew me to this map is, one, it's a jungle map, and I've been wanting to make like a jungle map for a really long time. And the second thing that really brought me to like want to remaster this map is the pathway design. So I really like what Epic Noob did with this pathway, where he has like multiple pathways going through the river. This is actually something that I've never thought about doing before, but I think it would be a really fun map to create. Now, right away, I already know a couple of things that I'm probably going to change. I'm not like a big fan of like using letters in maps unless you're like going to go for like a 3D creation or something like that. So I'm probably going to end up changing around the river design, but I definitely want to keep a lot of the aspects that Epic Noob used in this map. So now that we've taken a look at Epic Noob's map, let's go ahead and jump into the map creation and see if we can turn this map into a little bit of an upgraded version. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get all of like the rivers as well as like the lake over here set up. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of like the big props or like the big sections of this map set up, and then we'll go ahead and start making a couple of tweaks. Now, before I start changing a bunch of things, I want you guys to know, like, Epic Noob's map is actually a pretty solid looking map. It is not a bad map in any way, shape, or form. But because Epic Noob wanted me to like make a couple of changes and wanted me to make a little bit of a altered version of his map, I'm gonna go ahead and like turn this into a remastered and redesigned map. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and re-envision this river here, because the J, like I was saying, I usually don't like using letters in maps unless I'm like doing a 3D creation. So instead of having the letter J, I think it's better to like have a winding river go through the jungle, but I definitely want to keep the 4 pathways, because the 4 pathways is the really unique part of this map, right? So the first thing we want to do, let me see, let's just go ahead and turn this into a winding river. So we'll have this river over here. I'm probably going to end up like turning this lake or making this lake a little bit smaller, because I want the river to be like the main feature of this map. So with the river design, I want to leave like a couple of like peninsulas here where you can like place down a tower, and they'll be able to have ample time to actually hit the balloons. All right, there we go. That's looking like a pretty solid river design. So the main thing when I'm making my river, I want to make sure that we don't have like any straight lines. And I also want to make sure that the river is roughly like the same size throughout the entire river, right? Because if it's not the same size, then you're going to have like parts that are like a little bit weird. So this actually looks pretty good. Now, as for the lake, I'm debating on whether or not we should remove this giant lake. Because if we remove the giant lake, that'll give us more room to like make an overgrown jungle, right? So I think what I want to do, I know this is going to remove the possibility of like placing down water towers, but I don't really mind the fact that we're not going to be able to place down water towers. But I'll leave like a section here if somebody wants to use like a monkey sub or something like that. They'll be able to like place down an inflatable pond, right? And now that we've actually removed this water feature over here, we can actually like add another bend here. So if you want to place down more towers over here, you could place down a couple more towers. So instead of having the river enter up over here, we can go ahead and have it do like a little or another little like snake pattern here, and we can have it exit over on this side of the map. The main thing again that we just need to make sure that the river is roughly the same width throughout the entire pathway. All right, and there we go. I think this is a pretty solid looking river, right? Now the only question is, I think Epic Noob used somewhere in the ballparks of like 4 pathways. So I'll probably end up doing something similar, but I may end up doing like 5 pathways. And then I may have like a couple of the pathways do like a windy turn, and then I may have a couple do like a straight pathway through. That way it's not as hard as it would be if we had them all be like the same like length and stuff. So now I want to go through and I want to mark out the areas where there's going to be like giant trees, and there's going to be like a giant bushel of plants and stuff. So this is something that I'm always like struggling with whenever I like try to make like jungle maps, because I don't know what trees would look good in jungle maps. Now the palm trees always look really, or whenever I see like a jungle themed map, I always see a lot of palm trees, and these palm trees always like really bring like a jungle feel to your maps. So we'll go ahead and start off by adding a couple of these palm trees. Now I'm gonna go ahead and leave this area here open. So I want to like mark the areas where I want to make, where I want to be able to place down towers. The first area is going to be like right here. And then the second area, we'll go ahead and mark it with another peppermint. I want the second area to be right here. And I want a third area over here. Now, one thing I want to do, Epic Noob used like the gazebo prop to like make an entranceway to his river. And I thought that was really cool, but instead of using like the gazebos like this, instead of using this, because if you're looking at a jungle, this really doesn't belong, right? So instead of using this, we'll use these palm trees and we'll like make a natural opening to the rivers like this. Yeah, dude, I really like the way that looks. So now we have like a natural entrance. We also want to make like a natural exit as well. There we go. All right, so again, we want to make sure that we leave these spots open. But now's the hard part. I'm debating on whether I want to start from the ground or I want to start like adding trees. So I think a good thing to, or a good basis to start off on is to just start adding like a couple of stamps. So we'll add ourselves a couple of stamps. We'll use like this, like these like grassy bits, and we'll place them we'll start by placing them randomly around the map. All right, so we placed a bunch of these like random like bushel of leaves on the ground. Now we want to go ahead and go through and start adding like a little bit of grass as well. All right, so we add like a bunch of grass on the forest floor. Now the next thing we want to do, there's not really too many more stamps that I want to work with right now, but let's go ahead. We'll add ourselves like a couple of pebbles as well. That way we can have like a little bit more detail on the forest floor. And again, the main reason why I'm doing this like right now is because when we get done with like adding all of the trees, I don't want to go through and like have to like try and find like all of the open spots, because I feel like this would be a little bit of a easier way to like make the detail in the back of the map. Right, so now that we have the base layer of the forest floor down, let me see, what else can we add? I think I'm gonna go ahead and go through the trouble of doing my usual trick of making like this grass go through on like the edge of the river, because I think that would add a lot of detail. All right, and I think that'll about do it, guys. So this is exactly why I wanted to like add all of this detail along the river here, because that really brings the Overgrown vibe to this map, right? So now the next thing I want to do, I don't want to add anything here yet, because like I was saying, where I have these peppermints placed down, that's where we're gonna add more and more, or that's like the main spots where I want to like place down towers. So I want to make sure that I leave enough room for at least a village in each of these spots, along with a couple of towers, right? So the next thing I want to do, we want to move up to the next level of the forest. So the next level of the forest is going to be like bushes, right? So let's go through and we'll add bushes. So with these bushes, I'm only gonna I'm gonna limit the amount of them that I'm allowed to place. Because if we add too many of them, then it's gonna look a little bit weird, right? We'll add like one here. Actually, let's keep these like more towards the edge of the map. All right, so we have a couple of these like really long bushes here. Now these really long bushes, like the reason why I don't want to add a lot of them is because they stand out a little bit too much. So when I place them down, I want to go ahead and make sure like I change the shape, or not the shape, but like the size of them, as well as the direction that they're facing. Because if they're all facing like the same direction, that's gonna look a little bit weird. So now the next thing I want to do, I want to go through and I want to add these little bit of a bigger bush, or these bushes that are a little bit bigger. Now with these bushes, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the blocking because I don't want the blocking to interfere with like sight lines. And this prop right here is always like a big pain in the neck whenever I use it, because it always ends up like blocking a lot of my towers. Especially like sniper monkeys and stuff. So with this, we're going to be doing kind of the same rule. We're not going to place a lot of them, but we need to make sure that we like change the sizes as well as the direction that they're facing, because if they all face the same direction, then it's gonna look a little bit weird. Now, this is like one of the like big issues I have with like making an overgrown jungle, because like there's like a fine line between an overgrown jungle and it just being like a cluttered map, and that's like the last thing I want. I definitely don't want to create a cluttered map. I want to go for the overgrown jungle vibe, right? So whenever you're creating a map like this, you need to be really careful that you don't cross the line of placing down too many props, or like placing down too many of the same props, especially if they're close together. So what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to use these leaves for, is I'm going to use them as bushes around the palm tree. And this is like the big reason why I need to turn off the blocking, because if I don't turn off the blocking, then what if you like place down a sniper over here, or you place down a sniper over here, like the sight lines are going to be really bad. Like let me go ahead and give you guys an example. So we'll go ahead and we'll like tilt the leaves over here like this, and then we'll go ahead and position the leaves like this. And then if we turn on the sandbox mode, wait, I need to add a path first. So if we grab ourselves a sniper, like look at this weird hitbox from these leaves right here. So this is something that you guys need to keep in mind whenever you're using this prop, is that the prop doesn't line up with the hitbox. So that's why you need to turn off the blocking whenever you're using this prop. All right, and I think that's going to be about the limit that we can use these like green leaves here. Because again, if we add too many, then it's going to look a little bit off. So let's go ahead and stop adding these like green leaves now. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and find the next prop that we want to add to this map. So you guys know that I really like using shrubs. So let's go ahead and start adding a couple of shrubs. Now with these shrubs, we'll have like a couple of big ones, and then we'll place like these big ones around the map, around like the leaves that we place down. And this is to add a little bit of contrast underneath all of these like really green leaves, because if we don't add this contrast, then the green leaves have the potential of looking out of place, right? All right, so we added a bunch of these like really dark shrubs around the map. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to start adding these like light green shrubs. And we'll add these light green shrubs in like the more open areas of our forest. That way, like it kind of like adds a little bit more, or a little bit less contrast, right? Now that we've added like a bunch of these shrubs, there's another shrub that looks really good. It's that really big one. And I want to add that to our map as well. But I'm gonna make it, or I'm not gonna like keep it like super big. I'm gonna keep it a little bit more on the small side. And then again, you guys may be saying to yourself, dude, Titan, like there's so much green on this map, but there's not a lot of color. But that's gonna be the last thing that we're gonna go through and add. We'll add all of the color once we get all of like the green props placed down. All right, so this is the shrub, or now this is the other shrub that I want to work with here. So we'll go ahead and we'll like place this here, and this will really add a little bit more, like a really dark contrast to our map. And we want to like stick this in like the spots that'll be like hidden from like the sun. So this is going to be the prop that goes underneath everything. All right, now I'm really starting to get that jungle vibe, right? Like now that we're like adding more and more props, like now like it seems a little bit cluttered here. So I think what I want to do, I want to remove one of these like bushes. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to erase it. I'll probably end up erasing this one if I can actually click it. There we go. That looks way better. Yeah, dude, I really like the way that looks. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a couple of these rocks. So we'll add one rock here. We'll add another rock over here. And these rocks will take away, or these rocks will add a little bit more detail to our map as well as they'll go ahead and add a couple of like obstacles as well. Now the only problem with these rocks is that when we like go to like place down shade, we're not going to be able to place shade on top of the rocks. So it's going to look a little bit weird. So we need to remember that when we're placing like plants around these rocks, is that we're not going to be able to go through, and we're not going to be able to add shade around them. Well, we'll be able to add shade underneath them, but that's about as much as we can do. All right, now that I think we have enough greenery, now's the time to start adding a bunch of color. So the first thing that we want to do to like make this seem like it's an overgrown jungle is we want to go ahead and start adding these vines. And these vines are going to add a lot of like the color to like kind of bring in the atmosphere of being a jungle, right? Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to make these rocks stand out a little bit less. Like they look good, but they just like, they stand out a little bit too much. So by adding like some vines on top, that should add a little bit more of that jungle feel, opposed to like having these like bright gray rocks. It'll like kind of add a little bit of contrast to the bright gray, as well as it'll add a little bit of an atmosphere to our jungle theme map. So right now, so far so good, man. Epic noob, I'm so sorry. Like we just like went way off the rails here. Like initially I just thought I was going to change like a couple of things, but then it went from 0 to 100 real quick. So epic noob, I'm sorry, I just like completely changed every part of your map. Like, I think you were trying to go for an overgrown, like, jungle vibe, but I think you were also trying to just, like, make a map that had the letter J on it. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start adding a little bit of color to our map as well. Because right now we have 0 color on our map, and jungles, they usually have quite a bit of color, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll add ourselves like a couple of these plants that will hopefully bring a little bit more life to our map. All right, so far so good. Like just adding that purple to the map really adds like a whole new atmosphere that I feel like we were missing, right? So now I want to go through and I want to like bring a little bit more color by adding mushrooms. So with these mushrooms, we'll just place them along the edge here, where there's not a lot of light. And by adding these mushrooms, it's going to add a red color to our map. And it's going to add a little bit more detail as well. Plus, like if you're in the middle of like a forest, you're definitely going to like have a bunch of mushrooms. So I feel like this is definitely going to be a addition to our map that we definitely want. All right, guys, so I ended up adding a bunch of mushrooms. On top of that, I added a bunch of flowers around the map as well, and that really adds like a really vibrant feel to our map, and it kind of breaks up that really green feel as well. So now the next thing we have to do is we have to like transition this overgrown part of the jungle into these open areas. Because if we just leave them the way that they are, they're going to look a little bit awkward, right? So in order to like kind of like transition them a little bit more, I went ahead and I added like a bunch of these purple flowers because of these purple flowers, they have a little bit more of a jungle feeling, opposed to like adding like normal flowers, right? Now the next thing I want to do, let me go and add a little bit more color with these like bushes, because I feel like these bushes would look a little bit better, right? And this is why it's so hard to like make an overgrown jungle that looks good. Like even though like I like the way this is looking so far, like there's like a fine line between like looking good and being cluttered, which I feel like certain spots in this map are a little bit cluttered, but for the most part, I don't think it looks too bad. Like I was saying, it definitely has a couple of spots that are a little bit overbearing, but again, for the most part, I feel like this has the vibe of an overgrown jungle, which is exactly what we were going for, right? Now we're going to start working on the actual river itself. We already placed down a bunch of lily pads, but now I want to add more because these lily pads will really add to the overgrown jungle feel, because right now this jungle's looking really overgrown, but the river's still way too clean for this to be an overgrown river, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll add a bunch of these lily pads along the edge of the river. And then we'll also grab the lily pads that have flowers on top of it as well, because that'll also add to the color of the river as well. Actually, I kind of want to add like another tree. And then we'll go ahead and rotate this tree, and then we'll have this like tree go over the pathway a bit more, because I feel like that's another thing that we're kind of like lacking right now are like actual trees themselves. Now, one thing I'm going to do really quick in order to give us back some props, I'm going to go ahead and go through and I'm going to erase all of the props that we used early on, because as you guys can see, we really don't need too many of them, because originally I didn't think I was going to go this crazy with the amount of props, but I'm definitely glad that I did, because this definitely looks like a bright, vibrant jungle, which is exactly the feel that I wanted to go for. Now, there is like a couple more, like a little bit of an empty space here. And I think the only thing that I'm going to be able to do to kind of like take away from this open spot here is I think I'll have to add some grass. So the only thing I'm doing right now is I'm adding this grass. And the main reason why I want to add this grass is because if we left this open area and then we had all this like overgrown grass along the edge of our river, it would look a little bit out of place. So I went ahead and I added like really light grass, and then I added some green grass, and I'm adding some dark grass as well, just to add a little bit of like fine contrast, and also just to break up the green as well. Because right now we have a lot of green on this map, and by adding that grass, we're adding more. So by adding this this dark grass, it'll kind of like break up the green, and I feel like it would really make our map pop a little bit more. All right, and I think that's gonna about do it for the grass. We have this really overgrown area over here. This area I wanted to leave a little bit cleaner, but it still looks pretty good. Now, I want to go ahead and add a couple of cattails as well. And then I think I also want to add a couple of dragonflies just to add a little bit more life to the map. And then I think the last thing we'll do is we'll go through and we'll start adding the pathways. Man, I love adding cattails to lily pads because it adds so much more life to the lily pads. So what else? Oh yeah, I wanted to add dragonflies because dragonflies in this map would definitely look really, really cool. We'll go ahead and grab these dragonflies. We'll make them really, really small, and then we'll add them in random spots around the map. There we go. Oh man, I love this, guys. Like I've been wanting to make an overgrown jungle for so long, and I'm so glad that Epic Noob came through and then dropped that map, because I'm having so much fun like going through and creating this map. Like if we come up here and we like remove this pathway, this is what our map is gonna look like. I probably want to add a little bit more detail to our river. I actually, you know what, it doesn't look bad. I just want to add a couple of like sunspots because it looks good, but I do want a little bit more detail in our river. We'll add ourselves like a couple of these sunspots, and they'll look like we have like small rocks in the river because it looks good. But for the amount of detail that we have on this map, I want to have a couple of spots that aren't this like blue, right? Right, now's the next thing we need to do. We need to go ahead and add ourselves a stamp layer, and then now it's time to start adding a little, wait, no. Let's go ahead and add our pathways first. So let's go ahead and take a look in sandbox mode and see what the balloons are gonna do. Let me go ahead and send round 63, because round 63 would be a little bit more, or have a better representation of what the like big clumps of balloons are gonna do. Dude, that looks so funny. I actually kind of like the way that looks. Yeah, like it looks like the balloons don't have like a set pattern, which is exactly what I want to go for. Dude, I like how that looks so much. Oh, okay. Now, the next, now that we have the pathways placed down, let's go ahead and turn the pathways off, because this is what our map's gonna look like when you're just like playing the game. So now let's go through, let's go ahead and start adding all the shade, and I think that's gonna about do it for our first overgrown jungle. Now I know, guys, I know like there's certain spots where it seems to be a little bit cluttered, but I really wanted to bring that overgrown jungle to life. Now I almost forgot, there's another thing that we have to do. We need to make sure like there's no like sneaky spots where people can like place down towers. So I want to go through and I want to make sure like the only spots where people can place down towers are in the overgrown area, right? All right, we should have a majority of the map covered to where we can't place down towers. The next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a barrier. That way you can't shoot through this area here. And this is like the only area that I'm worried about, because if we like place down a sniper monkey, you can still shoot through the areas that I don't want you to be able to shoot through. Now this is a little bit difficult because, wait, actually, if I come over here to areas, can I make it so all of the props are invisible? I can, perfect. Okay, so with this area, I need to make sure that it doesn't, or I don't end up like blocking spots that I don't, or that aren't supposed to be blocked. The only area that needs to be blocked is this area here. Everything else should be perfectly fine, right? There we go. So we cut off like where all of the bushes are. Now another thing I need to do, I kind of sort of forgot that we could do this. So let's go ahead and fix this. That way there's no like sneaky spots where people could like place down a monkey sub or something like that. So all of this area is set up. Let's go ahead and move this a little bit. This area over here looks good. I need to go ahead and fix this area down here because that you can still place down towers down here. Let's also that spot's good, and I think that should do it. That way we don't have to worry about like people placing down towers where I didn't want them to be able, or in places where I didn't want them to be able to place down towers. But all right, dudes, I think that should about do it for the map. So let me know what you guys think. On a scale of 1 to 10 bananas, what would you guys rate this map? Also, if you guys have any like tricks or any ideas on how to make this map look better, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. So now that we've done all that, the last thing we have to do is we have to go ahead and choose some music for this map. And you know what? I think Fiesta is like the perfect track for this map. And then the last thing, oh dude, I almost forgot we have geckos. We could actually add a little bit more life to this map too. Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll add ourselves like a couple of like small critters. We'll add ourselves like a gecko here. We'll add ourselves like another one over here. We'll add one on top of this rock. Dude, that's so cool. I completely forgot that geckos were in the game. And like a jungle's like the perfect spot for them, right? And we also have like a capybara. We can go ahead and like place the capybara here, dude. Oh man, because the capybara is another like jungle animal, I believe, right? We'll have like one capybara here, and then we'll have like another one over here. We don't want to go too crazy with the capybaras, because if we go too crazy, then it's gonna be a little bit overbearing. But let's go ahead and make a couple of baby capybaras as well. Yeah, that's cool. A couple of geckos and then a couple of capybaras. I almost want to add the frogs, but the frogs really don't like seem to like suit this map. So instead, let's add a couple of these hummingbirds, especially in the areas where there's flowers, and this will add a little bit more life to the map. Dude, this is so cool. I'm loving this map more and more, guys. There we go. And that just adds a little bit more life to our map, especially since I was feeling like we were lacking a little bit with like small details. Oh wait, dude, we also have a parrot. We won't add like too many of these, but we'll add a couple, because the parrots are like another animal that's like indigenous to jungles. So it makes sense to have a couple of these, right? And then I know we can add more, but I think that's gonna about do it, guys. Man, I love the way this map looks. But all right, guys, and now that we've chosen music, I don't really know if there's any background effects that would look good on this map. Like, we could probably add this, but I don't think that would end up looking good. We could add rain, but again, the rain I just feel would be a little bit too much. So I think this should about do it for the Overgrown jungle, or the remastered version of Jungle J. So let's go ahead and give this map a try. So of course, because this is a remastered map, let's go ahead and call this Jungle J Remastered. So now that we've named the map, let's go ahead and play our map and see if this map is beatable. So I'm fairly certain this map is beatable. I don't think it's going to be as hard as I initially thought it would be. So let's go ahead and start off with a dart monkey. And then let's see how this map actually plays. Man, I really like the way this looks. And this is for my first attempt at making an overgrown jungle. I don't feel like it looks bad. Like I was saying, it's really hard to make an overgrown jungle because there's like a fine line between being an overgrown jungle and being too cluttered. So hopefully I didn't end up going too far over that mark of being like a cluttered map. And hopefully this still looks like a pretty decent map. But while we're beating this map, I just want to take this time to say thank you guys so much for the support on the series. You guys are absolutely crushing it. That being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, if you guys are new around here, don't forget to subscribe as well, because I do upload daily BT6 content. Also, if you guys have a map that you guys would like to see me create, or if you guys have created a map yourselves and you guys want to see me make a remastered or a reimagined version of that map, please feel free to let me know in the comments below and I'll go ahead and give your map a try. But alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward all the way up until round 40 and I'll bring you guys back on round 40. Alright dudes, so here we are on round 39. There's one more thing I wanted to ask you guys, and I wanted to ask you guys like what you guys would rate this map. Would you guys rate this map a beginner map, a intermediate map, an advanced map, or an expert map? Now, right off the bat, I already know this definitely isn't going to be an advanced map or an expert map, but I definitely have the feeling that this is more of a intermediate map. But then again, it could be a beginner map, but that's why I wanted to ask you guys in the comments below if you guys, or what you guys would rate this map. But alright, if you guys would like to give this map a try for yourself, here is the code. But anyways, dudes, that's going to do it for the video. Again, if you enjoyed, make sure you guys hit that like button, and I'll see you dudes in the next one.